Yes, life can be wonderful if you're not afraid of it. All it needs is courage, imagination. What is there to fight for? Everything! Life itself isn't enough. What is there to fight for? Life is a beautiful, magnificent thing.
The following program contains sounds from the neighborhood, which can't be helped. Listener's discretion is advised. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Quandary Quest. Today we are going to talk about something that no one seems to understand, and I doubt will ever understand. Time. It's a weird thing, isn't it? When you think about it, and you really ponder it, it's truly mind-bending when all is said and done. So yeah, that is what we're going to jump into today. Let's get to it. Back in the day, the Julian calendar, shout out to Julius Caesar, 45 BCE, it was chill, but it was lazy. It treated every year like it had exactly 365.25 days. So that added a leap day every 4 years. Well, what's the problem with that? The actual solar year is about 365.2425 days. So it ended up drifting forward by about 11 minutes a year. And by the 1500s, that meant the calendar was off by 10 whole days. Spring equinox happening in March instead of where the church wanted it for Easter calculations. Chaos. Enter Pope Gregory VIII in 1582. Hold my holy water. He drops the Gregorian calendar, which tweaks leap years, skips them if they're divisible by 100 but not 400 for some reason. Sorry, 1700, 1800, 1900. So to fix the drift, they straight up deleted October 4th to the 14th of 1582. Thursday, boom, Friday. No one aged, no birthdays lost, mostly. But imagine the confusion.
Wait, was I supposed to pay taxes on the 5th? Did that day even happen?
You know, Catholic countries jumped on board pretty quick. Italy, Spain, Poland. But Protestants were salty and waited decades and decades. Britain, 1752. And Russia was 1918. Ethiopia? It's still on the Julian vibe until recently. The moral of the story is time is just a suggestion, and apparently popes have editing powers. So the years are different depending on what part of the world that you go to. I don't know if anybody else realized that, but I only learned that within the last few months, or even really thought about it. In certain places, they're in completely different years, not just time zones. The whole year is different. The 2025, no. We're on the Gregorian calendar, counting from the debated birth of Jesus, so the year of our Lord and all that. But hop a border, and in China, they go by the lunar calendar. It's the year of the snake right now. And 2025 is apparently the wood snake. Their count, 4723. Yeah, 4723. Like, what? And the Islamic world, Hijri calendar starts from Muhammad's migration in 1622 CE, so it's 1447 AH. not sure what that means. Pure lunar calendar, no leap years. It's just crazy. And I mean, in Israel, the Hebrew calendar is 5786 AM. One has AH, one has AM. It's like radio stations. Anno Mundi is what AM means. I still don't know the AH. Anno Mundi is year of the world from creation, apparently. It's lunisolar, so holidays like Hanukkah chase the moon. And in Ethiopia, they're a whole 7 to 8 years behind us. It's currently 2018 there, because they apparently calculate Jesus' birth differently. And, the French Revolutionary calendar is a whole other thing, which had 12 months of 30 days plus 5 extra days. Where do they put those extra days? Like Frymare or Frosty Month? Or the Mayan long count, which reset in 2012 and thinks we're in the 14th Baktun. The point is, the year and time in general is cultural fanfic. No universal referee. If the aliens show up, they're gonna laugh at our tally marks, because it's just a guess. It really is just a guess. Like, depending on what mark in time, where people started, it's all just made up, just like everything else. The older you get, the more you realize it's all just made up. I mean, think about, time as we know it doesn't necessarily exist. It does and it doesn't at the same time. It's almost like the quantum computers that I've heard of. The fact that when you're doing computer code, it's all zeros and ones. But in a quantum computer, it's simultaneously a 0 and a 1. It's no and yes. It's nothing and something all at the same time. It's a pretzel. It's like that. It puts your mind just all bent up in a pretzel. It really does. Just thinking about it. Like, I almost have a stroke just sitting here contemplating it. I mean, when you think of black holes, and one of my all-time favorite movies is Interstellar. Ugh. I mean, most movies kind of just hint at things and never really show them to you. Like aliens, they'll talk about aliens forever, but you never quite see them the whole time. Like on Signs, you see them like once, and the whole other time it's just like, ooh, are you gonna see it? Ooh, are you gonna see it? So I feel like a lot of science fiction is that way, where they just kind of hint at things and you don't quite ever see anything cool, until the past couple decades when CGI took over everything. But one of the best things ever is the black hole scene in Interstellar. I absolutely love that part. I mean, just like, there's another movie, Contact, where she falls through. So good. I just love mind-bending things like that, where everything that's on the other side is a complete guess. Everything is a guess, and so when we're talking about black holes, we're talking about relativity. Time is real in physics. It's the fourth dimension in space-time, but it's stretchy like cosmic taffy. If you're near a black hole, the gravity is so intense that it warps the fabric and time dilates. Clocks tick slower the deeper you go into that gravitational well. Yeah, if anybody has ever seen Interstellar, there is a planet that is way closer to the black hole than all the other planets. And time on this planet works completely different than anywhere else. I think it's like 1 hour is 7 years or something like that, which is crazy. And of course, as movie stuff would have it, they end up getting stuck there longer than they thought that they would. And so like 14 years, Earth years go by, and they're already super far away from home. I mean, it's already going to take them forever to get back. It's so scary when you think about space and being out there, and by the time you get back, everybody's dead or aged or whatever. It's just so trippy. So yeah, the clocks on that planet obviously tick at a different rate than what the rate would be back on Earth. If you fall towards the event horizon or the point of no return, from the outside looking in, the observer, the person would slow to a crawl, and it would take them an eternity to cross the threshold. But for the person that's in there, it's you zip in, spaghettify, and wave bye-bye. It's instantaneous. Crazy. And, GPS account for this time dilation and these weird things that are happening all the time. Every day, the clocks run faster by 38 microseconds a day up there, so the maps don't drift off. And, of course, they're already having to recalculate them for the drift at the North Pole that's happening as well. So it's all the time. They're constantly having to tweak everything, which is crazy because you'd think it would just be one and done, but no. Everything is in constant motion and constantly changing, and that's what people need to realize. Time as in the changing of things, of course that's real, but when it comes to hours and days and the way in which we sort our lives, that's all, of course, made up. There's no cosmic calendar. It's not Thursday on Saturn. Like, nobody knows. There is no beginning, there is no end. It's just, here we are. Here we are. And it's just our way of keeping things in order so we can make sure we get to work on time and be a good little worker bee. So, is time not real? It kind of is and kind of isn't. Like I said, philosophers have been yelling this for forever. Augustine said, "What then is time? If no one asks me, I know what it is. If I wish to explain it, I do not know." I love that quote, which is perfect. It's like trying to describe a trip to somebody. The only way that you can describe it is if that other person already kind of knows what you're talking about. There is no description for certain things, like the word love. How do you describe love to somebody? It's definitely a difficult thing to grasp. There are certain words and certain ideas that we have in our world that defy words, really. They go beyond them. Even the word itself that tries to encapsulate that thing doesn't quite hit the mark. So, yeah, what then is time? If no one asks me, I know what it is. If I wish to explain it, I do not know. I love that. Physics says that it's emergent, a byproduct of entropy increasing. Thanks to the second law of thermodynamics, we feel it as an arrow, like from the past to the future, like straight. But quantum weirdness hints that it might loop or be layered on top of each other. The bottom line is that time is a useful lie, like the idea of money. Time is a useful lie, like money or countries. That's all made up too. I mean, there really is no lines on the globe or the flat plane, whichever you believe, that tells where one country ends and one begins. We can just step right over into Canada without ever knowing. There's back roads into Canada that you can just keep on driving. You're like, oh, shit, people are speaking French. Wait, where am I? You know? So, I mean, it's all just, it's just a form of control, just like everything else. You know, it exists because we needed to not eat dinner at 3 a.m., but it's all as fake as all the faces of the Kardashians. Okay. Psychologically, it's all in your squishy little head. Blame it on dopamine and attention spans. When you're knee-deep in fun, say binge watching a show or crushing game night, you're in a flow state. Your brain is too busy hyper-focusing on the joyride to clock check every moment. Like watching water boil. Anytime you're staring at that water, it never boils. But the moment you walk away, and then you come back, it's boiling! Every freaking time! It's, or you know, the expression, watching paint dry. Obviously, who would stand there and watch paint dry? I like the water boiling better, but, you know, it's crazy. Just like when you're around someone and you never notice all the changes that they go through, but then when you haven't seen someone in a long time, and then you finally see them again, you notice how much they've changed. And you look back at how they were before to now, and it's like, whoa, that's crazy. But if you're around them all the time, it's so gradual, you don't really notice. Is that a right analogy? I don't know. Anyway, memories, they have a way of compressing. They say it's because our brain can't hold everything, but I honestly, I beg to differ. I think our brain is capable of amazing things. And I think that everything that we see, hear, everything that we come into contact with in this life is retained in our brain. It's just being able to access it once again after that is gone. Maybe like some trigger. You know how smells or even certain songs that play on a CD or the radio, they pop on and they trigger a memory. It makes you wonder if there is maybe some type of trigger for each memory that you have throughout your life. I wonder. Like, the particular smell of this pancake makes me think of my Nana's on Sundays, you know, or whatever. Like, pretty crazy. But yeah, memories, they do compress. The hike that was like 3 hours, and you enjoyed every second of it, it felt like only 20 minutes. It didn't feel like that long at all. You know, it's like going somewhere and the anticipation of going somewhere, it seems like it takes forever, but then on the way back, on the way home, it's so quick. Because you're not waiting for anything anymore. Unless you have to pee on the way home, and then that's game over. But, you know, all of the good stuff and the things that we enjoy, it feels like minutes. It's so sad. I wish it were the other way around. It feels like an hour that you enjoy feels like 5 minutes. But, you know, flip it to taxes, and time drags because your attention's screaming for escape. Every tick feels amplified, and it's like time is stretching to punish you for not Netflixing instead. You know, it's like, I just want to relax. Why are you doing this to me? Studies like those wonky ones with people estimating durations show that we overestimate time in tedium by up to 50%. Is it evolution's fault? Yeah, probably. But if you are able to somehow figure out to make all the dull stuff fun, like, I don't know, timer challenges or dance challenges or just I don't know, making a game out of everything to hack the drag of all of the dull stuff. You know, I have a difficult time with that. I wish I knew how to make life more of a game. That would be wonderful. I need to get better at that. So, another thing that we think about, or at least I think about, when I think about time, if anybody knows who Dolores Cannon is, she was a wonderful lady. I wish I could have met her. And she learned how to hypnotize people from her husband, who was in the military, and that's where he learned it from. So, military hypnotist, and he teaches her how to do it. And eventually, she comes up with her own way after so many years and everything, and kind of stumbles onto all that she discovered later on in her life, which is absolutely fascinating. Yeah, anybody who wants to know anything more about that definitely should start out reading her first book. It's called 5 Lives Remembered, and it's really, really interesting about how they basically just, her and her husband basically just stumbled into hypnotizing this woman into a past life. She had gotten a hold of them, or a family member had gotten a hold of them to hypnotize her to help her with some health issues or addiction issues, something like that. And all of a sudden, she is just talking in a different way, behaving in a different way. She's completely different than the person that they knew her as, and starts telling these interesting stories about a whole other life. And they were like, what is happening here? Very fascinating. But yeah, 5 Lives Remembered by Dolores Cannon. She actually ended up hypnotizing thousands of people, and she hypnotized somebody, and they actually went to a past life where they were like the student or intern or something like that, the prodigy of Nostradamus. They were like, or the assistant, something like that. They were the helper of Nostradamus. And all of a sudden started talking with him. Crazy stuff. He eventually told her that he would give her some type of a password that, should she want to talk with him again in the future, she would just say this certain word and she would be able to talk with him again, no matter the person. How crazy is that? So through all different people that didn't know each other from all different parts of the world, even, because she went everywhere, they all started speaking to her as if they were speaking to Nostradamus. And she said that eventually it was like she wasn't channeling a student, it was like she was just going back and talking to him. And he made sure to say to her that he wasn't being he wasn't talking to her as a spirit or anything like that. And this wasn't them channeling him as he was dead. He was actually speaking with them as he was living in the 1500s. He was speaking to them. He made quite clear that he was still alive, and he was in like a trance, basically, talking to them from the 1500s. How about that? She has at least 3 books called Conversations with Nostradamus, Volume 1, 2, and 3. And I haven't read all of them, but I started reading the first one, and I think I'm about halfway through. And man, it is so fascinating. They actually get into his quatrains, all of his predictions for the future. And people always discount those who speak of the future, even Nostradamus, he had thousands, or at least like 1,000 quatrains. And she even asked him, when people say that you are basically full of shit because this such and such a thing didn't come true, this thing didn't happen, so he was wrong. He basically told her that things that he sees aren't completely set in stone. He's seeing a possibility of an outcome. Basically, like Twilight's version, like Alice on Twilight, she sees things as everything's been decided at this current moment. But should someone change their mind, the future would change. And that's basically how Nostradamus' visions worked. Like, most of the time he saw the worst possible outcome for things, because he thought that knowing how it could end in a negative way was more important than the happy fairy tale way, because it's more jarring if you see what you don't want it to end up like, and that makes more of an impact. But the sad part is that he wrote them in such a way, it's like solving a fucking puzzle to get to even know what they mean. It's crazy. So yeah, all the people, no matter where they were, it was just crazy. Like, basically, starting in the 80s, she would hypnotize everyday folks. Like, they were strangers with no prior connections from all walks of life, and bam, they would basically slip into his energy field, and they weren't him reliving his life, but like I said, they were at first like a student of his, and then over time it became they were visiting him as almost an energy form, and they linked up with his consciousness while he was alive. In her Conversations with Nostradamus books, in over a dozen sessions with subjects like Phil, Pam, Cynthia, they all independently, and these people didn't know each other, they all independently described the same dude. A French accent, quatrains decoded on the fly, and that signature melancholy hunch from carrying the weight of future visions on his shoulders. It's wild because they weren't scripted at all. They were completely under hypnosis. They had zero Nostradamus trivia going in, and they'd all nail details like, his stone floored study or the scrying bowl that he had. It's crazy. And like I said, there was a big emphasis on the fact that she was not visiting him in the past. It was like a current live wire. As one subject said it, they said, "We're speaking to Nostradamus, mental contact with him in the 1550s as he sits there at his desk. But Nostradamus' body, of course, has long since left the earth, and his spirit is in fact what we're connecting with." But there's a simultaneous twist. You're tapping his full essence, so it's like dialing into 1555 and his post-death wisdom all at the same time. When you speak to anyone whose physical body lived at an earlier time period, you are speaking to the consciousness of that person as it existed at that time. But the rest of the consciousness is also there and is accessible. It's crazy. Everything is happening in the eternal now, and that is mirrored across many, many different teachings and beliefs. Anybody who spoke with Nostradamus or heard the session happening with Nostradamus would kind of realize that it was something and someone else coming through, not just these former lives of the people that are sitting there. He would be impatient, like telling them hurry up with the questions, or selective he would tell them, I choose the vehicles with similar channeling vibes. Or he would be thrown by a different person saying things like, this female energy feels peculiar. One session actually has him griping about the burden of what he sees with his inner eye, and slouched over his table like a prophet with a deadline, and stress. Real-time 16th century edition stress. And he schools them on the mechanics of time. He says that it's not as rigid as we think, and that it's very flexible. And subjects describe bouncing back and forth in Nostradamus' life, hitting him at different ages. Younger for clarity, or older for wisdom or depth. He explains life as simultaneous events. Everything is happening all at once. And if you look around at any of the gurus and spiritual teachers, they all say that same thing, that the past is no longer and the future isn't here yet. The only thing that exists is right now. That's it. That's the only thing that exists. And people are too busy thinking about tomorrow, that they don't actually stop and appreciate right now, this second right now. Everybody's too busy trying to get there, wherever there is. And, I'm guilty of that too, of course. So, we're going to go to this philodive.com, and we are looking at the philosophy of time, a comprehensive guide exploring the nature of time and its philosophical implications. Is that a mosquito? Okay, no. You may live. Alright, so it says, what is time? Time is a fundamental concept that is difficult to define. At its core, time refers to the sequence of events that occur in a continuous flow, from past to present to future. However, the concept of time has been conceptualized in various ways throughout history, from a linear progression to a cyclical repetition. Linear time is the most commonly understood conceptualization of time, in which time is seen as a one-way progression from the past to the future. This view of time is often associated with the idea of a timeline or arrow of time. Cyclical time is a conceptualization. Wow, they like that word. Yeah, I see it comes again. Of time in which events repeat themselves, like this word, in a circular pattern. In this view of time is often associated with the idea of eternal return. Again, like that word. Relational time is a conceptualization of time in which time is seen as a relational concept that depends on the observer's frame of reference or perspective. This view of time is often associated with the theory of relativity. The importance of time in philosophy. Time is a fundamental concept in philosophy because it is intimately tied to our understanding of the world and our place in it. It is also closely related to other important philosophical concepts such as causation, free will, and the nature of reality. Causation is the idea that events are caused by prior events. The concept of causation is closely related to the concept of time because it implies a linear progression of events over time. Without time, causation would not exist. Free will is the idea that individuals have the ability to make choices that are not predetermined by prior causes. The concept of free will is closely related to the concept of time because it implies that individuals have the ability to act in the present, which is a moment in time, and make choices that affect the future. The nature of reality is a fundamental philosophical question that has been debated for centuries. The concept of time is intimately related to this question because it raises fundamental questions. Question. About the nature of the universe and whether time is a fundamental aspect of reality or merely an illusion created by human consciousness. That's always an interesting thing. I actually heard something not too long ago about this. I want to say it was a doctor. I mean, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but somebody was doing some type of study to find out whether or not the soul, consciousness, awareness, whatever makes us, whether it originates in the body or outside of the body, in the brain or outside of the brain. And I want to say that they came to realize that it actually doesn't originate in the body. That somehow it originates someplace else, and that our brain and our body is basically like a receiver, like an antenna, picking up the signal of whatever this is. How crazy is that? It's just, I don't know. Reality itself is just absolutely mind-bending when you sit and think about it for too long. I love it. I mean, yeah, these are the types of conversations that I really love to get into. So, apparently, ancient Greek philosophers such as Aristotle and Plato considered time to be a fundamental aspect of reality and the cosmos. They believed that time was a measurable quantity that followed a regular and predictable pattern. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Ancient Indian philosophers such as the Vedas and Upanishads saw time as cyclical and infinite. Yeah. That I definitely agree with. They believed that time was composed of cycles of creation, destruction, and rebirth, and that the universe was constantly evolving and changing. Yep. Ancient Chinese philosophers such as Lao Tzu and Confucius viewed time as a natural force that was connected to the cycles and patterns of the natural world. They believed that time was best understood through observation and contemplation of nature. Right. When I look around and I see, wow, when I thought about this, it was September, and the bees were still over here. I mean, it was the end of September. And you got bees over here still buzzing around my flowers that are still blooming. And I'm thinking, normally, I feel like, it's a little bit colder, or getting a little bit colder by this time. And that the leaves have already kind of started to change. I don't know, maybe I just don't pay as close attention as I should. And maybe it really is October that all the stuff changes and falls. But, I don't know, I just felt like late September was really weird to still see my plants filled with insects, like butterflies and bees and all kinds of stuff just still buzzing about. Like it was summertime, and it was like, it was still 80 degrees outside. Just so weird. So Is our time off? Or is nature all messed up? Which is it? During the Middle Ages, Christianity played a significant role in shaping the concept of time. In philosophy, it played a significant role in shaping the concept of time in philosophy. Period. Medieval philosophers such as Augustine and Aquinas believed that time was created by God and that it had a specific purpose in the divine plan. Islamic philosophers such as Al-Farabi and Ibn Rushd, I hope I got that right, also developed unique theories about time that were influenced by their religious beliefs. They saw time as a cyclical force that was connected to the larger cycles of creation and destruction in the universe. See? That's an Islamic belief, but it shares an Indian belief as well. So, let's see. With the advent of scientific revolution and the rise of modern philosophy, the concept of time underwent a significant transformation. René Descartes, saw time as a measurable and quantifiable force that could be understood through mathematical calculation. Immanuel Kant challenged traditional views of time in his Critique of Pure Reason, arguing that time was not an objective force, that it existed independently of human perception. Instead, he saw time as a subjective construct that was necessary for human perception and understanding. That's what I'm saying. It's just made up so we can figure stuff out and get through life. And everything can be orderly to us. So we can make sense of things. There we go. We created it to make sense of things. Do you think cavemen had calendars on the walls in their cave? No. No. They just went out and lived day to day. They didn't know whether or not they were going to get eaten by a saber-tooth that day. Who knows? I mean, maybe. But they lived in the now because they had no other choice. And we have to remember, we gotta get back to that. We gotta get back to that. Contemporary philosophers continue to debate the nature of time and its relationship to other fundamental concepts, such as causality and free will. Some argue that time is an objective force that exists independently of perception, while others see it as a subjective construct that is intimately tied to human experience. That's what I believe. Recent developments in physics, such as string theory and the study of black holes. They're talking about black holes. That's crazy, because that's what I talked about too. Have challenged traditional views of time and opened up. And I didn't look this up before I looked up the stuff about the black holes and all that stuff. I just looked this up a little bit ago. So, interesting. But I mean, when I think of time, that's what I think of. That's where my mind goes, to black holes, because it's very interesting that time is different there, God, I wish we could send a probe into one and actually get information back immediately, but by the time I got there, we'd all be long dead. By the time I got back, we'd all be way, way long dead. We'd be fossils. It would just be... somebody needs to invent a teleporter and just teleport something right to the mouth of it. Anyway. Yes. Study of the black holes challenged traditional views of time and opened up new avenues for philosophical inquiry. As our understanding of the universe continues to evolve, so too will our understanding of time and its place in the cosmos. Right. A theory versus B theory of time. I don't know what this is. Never heard of this before? A theory, also known as the presentism theory, holds that only the present moment exists. I concur. The past and the future do not exist in any real sense. They don't. Only in our minds. Really, only in our minds. As a dream, basically. And time is constantly moving forward, with the present moment always being the most real. Absolutely. We're in our little bubble, just going down the timeline. B theory, also known as eternalism, holds that past, present, and future all exist equally, and that time is a dimension like space. Ooh, oh, okay, oh. Well, let me see, I might take that back. Because, I mean, I do consider the possibility of simultaneous time. Absolutely. Okay. I actually think that there's this thing where we always assume that, and it really goes back to the quantum computer thing, basically. I mean, if you want to get technical. We always assume that it has to be A or B. B or A. It can't be A and B. And that is absolutely false. It can be A and B at the same time. Absolutely. Because I think that only the present moment exists. Yes, I do think that. But I think that it's only for this current existence that we incarnate right at this moment. But do I think that all time is constantly flowing at the same time? I do. I do think that. But the vehicle which we inhabit, our body, because we are not our body. We are whatever the force is that is within the body, whatever you would call that. The body only exists right now. Currently. You know, if only we could open up our minds enough to be able to phase in and out of physical reality and all this kind of stuff, and like step through doors and, expand our consciousness enough to be able to like read each other's thoughts and all that stuff. I fully believe that all of this is possible, that we are capable of all sorts of things. So, I think that multiple things can be true at once. Just like a 0 and a 1 can be a 0 and a 1 at the same time in quantum computing. Everything is everything, man. Everything is everything. Anyway, the main difference between A theory and B theory is their view on the reality of past and future. A theory holds that only the present moment exists, while B theory holds that past, present, and future all exist equally. A theory sees time as constantly moving forward, while B theory sees time as a dimension, like space. Yes. I mean, I definitely... That's why I like Interstellar so much, because when he goes through that black hole, it's like... When he goes through that black hole, it's like... He's like falling through snow in the darkness, almost. It's like riding through a snowy road at night. And that's what I think of when I'm driving and it's snowing and it's hitting the windshield. It's like warp speed. But then he starts going into this place that's like all kinds of cubes of his home, all intersected together in an infinite view of his life, basically, of his reality, of places in his home, because of incidents that happened there. And I really think that that's an interesting concept of how they showed that. And he was able to go up and down, left, right, and wherever to access different points in time with his daughter, who he hadn't seen since she was a little girl. And then he stares through the bookshelf, and there she is. She's a grown woman now. Ugh. God. So sad. Such a sad, tragic. I love that movie. Oh, I can't say that enough. Anyway. Yes, okay. Presentism versus eternalism. Presentism is a view within a theory that holds that only the present moment exists, which we said. The past and the future do not exist in any real sense, and time is constantly moving forward with the present moment always being... Are we repeating ourselves? Echo, echo, echo. Okay. There's a growing block theory, a view within a theory that holds that the past and the present exist, but the future does not exist. Okay. So 2 of the 3 exist. The universe is constantly growing, and as it grows, more of the past becomes fixed. This means that the past is fixed while the future remains open and uncertain. Well, that's an interesting... I've never heard that before. Growing block theory has implications for the nature of time. It suggests that time is constantly moving forward, but only the past and present are real. The future is uncertain and open, and it is up to us to create it. Huh. Yeah, I've never heard that, growing block theory. Weird. Oh, wow. Causal determinism versus free will. And causal determinism is the view that every event is necessitated by prior events and the laws of nature. In other words, there is only one possible future, and it is determined by the past. Yeah, so things that you did in your past affect your future. The chair is so squeaky. Free will, of course, is the view that we have the ability to make choices that are not determined by prior events or the laws of nature. This is another one of those incidents where I think that they can both be true at the same time. Like, our free will is what causes the causal determinism. Like, it's an event and necessitated by prior events. Our free will can cause those things. I don't know. The debate between causal determinism and free will is closely tied to the philosophy of time. Causal determinism suggests that the future is predetermined and unchangeable, while free will suggests that the future is open and uncertain. This has implications for our understanding of the nature of time and the role we play in shaping our own futures. Crazy, man, crazy. And apparently there's all kinds of studies. There's chronometry, which is the study of time. The science studying the measurement of time and timekeeping. It enables the establishment of standard measurements of time, which have applications in a broad range of social and scientific areas. Horology usually refers specifically to the study of mechanical timekeeping devices, while chronometry is broader in scope, also including biological behaviors with respect to time, or biochronometry, as well as the dating of geological material. Geochronometry. Ometry. Interesting. There's really cool visuals with the dude with all kinds of gears and things. But of course, it's blurry. But I always wondered how they were able to decide how much sand to put into the hourglasses. How did they... I mean, I haven't looked it up, so I don't know, because I haven't really looked into it, but how did they know how much sand to put in there, and how did they time that out? How did people in the early days time their watches? You know? I need to look into that. How did they time their watches? Because they had timepieces on them, little pocket watches and things like that. But it wasn't like that they could get online. Nowadays, we're just so spoiled with our phones and things that are online, automatically updating and changing the time. We don't have to do anything at all. And it's changed. We barely even notice that it happens. Except that our alarm might go off sooner. Or hopefully a little later. Which, if we're still doing daylight savings time, I think that it's absolutely pointless. Pointless! They talked about getting rid of it once upon a time, and I was thinking, please do, please do. But for some reason, we still hang on to it. I don't know why. They said for some reason it can confuse people. I don't know. Let me say, you still have the same amount of hours in a day. You're just changing the time around on a clock. That's it. There's still 24 hours in a day. You're not adding an extra 25th hour on or anything like that. You still got the same amount of hours. So whether it's a trick of the mind thinking that you have more light or less light, whatever the purpose is, it's silly. I once heard it described as taking a sheet and cutting the top off of it and putting it on the bottom. You have the same amount of sheet. It makes no sense whatsoever. We just need to get rid of that shit. Everybody has the same time, besides, obviously, going across the country, and everybody has time zones depending on where they live, but the whole daylight savings time, it's got to go. It's got to go. Gotta get rid of that. Pointless. Anyway, ranting about that. Yeah. Time is just such an odd concept. It being a different time depending on where you are in the world. Just because of the time zones, let alone the year. It could be a whole different year. You go to Ethiopia and they're 7 to 8 years behind us. I mean, how crazy is that? Time is not only flexible because the possibility of multiple realities and multiple times all living simultaneously and coexisting on top of each other like, dimensions, basically. Which, time is like a dimension. Not only that, but just whether or not we're remembering things correctly because it was so long ago. A lot of stuff has been passed down through oral tradition, and, a group of people just got together and decided that they were going to restart the time because of Jesus' death. What? So, a whole bunch of people just said, nope, we're going to start over. What year would it be if we hadn't started over? Is that what what was it, China? Or something? Was in year 4000 something? Was that because they never started over? Is that how that works? I might have to look into that. So, I have been trying to get another episode together, and it is taking a bit of time for the research and things like that. And I have been slacking. I really want to be more consistent, and I don't want to be one of those people that doesn't follow up on their word. But my gosh, speaking of time, where did this year go? Anybody know? I ask almost everybody I see if they even can contemplate how it's October already. It makes no sense. I don't understand where the time went. It's really gone by so fast. I feel like somebody really did hit the fast forward button. And here we are. We only have a couple months left. How? And it's really crazy because we're coming up on the 250th anniversary of 1776. So that'll be a shindig I'm sure we have to look forward to. Who knows what'll happen. What kind of drama might spill out that day. But, I'm sure it'll be televised and stuff. Hopefully everything goes smoothly and nothing crazy happens and everybody can just have a good time and celebrate safely. Hopefully. But, oh well, I'm sure that will be on the 4th of July, right? Yeah. So, this 4th of July is sure to be an extra special event for people. I'm sure there'll be an even bigger fireworks show in places. Yeah. Most times I don't really go because I feel like it's kind of the same old and our dogs freak out. But maybe this year, or this coming year, maybe we'll go have a look if it's supposed to be extra special for the commemoration. Be interesting. But anyway, I hope you all out there are doing wonderfully. I know times are crazy, times are hard. I'm feeling it over here, I know. But just remember, it doesn't last forever, and we will get through this, guys. We will make it through, and I know it sucks when you feel like you're working hard and you've got nothing to show for it, but just keep going. Just keep swimming, as someone would say. And very quickly, guys, before we go, I cannot talk about time without mentioning one of my favorite songs, Time in a Bottle by Jim Croce. I always said that would be the song that I would dance to. Oh, I love it so much. And it's not that long, sadly. Why are all the good songs so short? I mean, a good many of them. Except for Bohemian Rhapsody, of course. Anyway, here's a little bit of that before we go.
If I could save time in a bottle, the first thing that I'd like to do is to save every day till eternity passes away, just to spend them with you. If I could make days last forever, if words could make wishes come true, I'd save every day like a treasure and then again, I would spend them with you. But there never seems to be enough time to do the things you want to do once you find them. I've looked around enough to know that you're the one I want to go through time with. If I had a box just for wishes and dreams that had never come true, the box would be empty except for the memory of how they were answered by you. But there never seems to be enough time to do the things you want to do once you find them. Looked around enough to know you're the one I want to go through time
And with that, hopefully you all enjoyed that as much as I did. That is one of my favorites. He's got quite a few good ones, Jim Croce. But with that being said, thank you so much for listening, and I hope everybody is doing well out there, wherever you may be. And just remember, guys, life is so short. So, question everything and embrace the quest. Bye, guys.
The trouble is you